Okay. Let me also record here. Okay, dear students. So let's now get started with maybe just not to waste time, like with maybe 20 minutes lecture. Then I will also talk around 20 minutes for the homework. Since like, يعني unfortunately, time really is just like flying. And as you know, I think maybe midterm will be after 2 or 3 weeks. We are going to start with the midterm examinations. Okay, so Bismillah, let me share the screen, sharing screen. Okay. All right. Share. So this is the screen. Okay. This is the screen, and let me make this one smaller. Adam. Okay. So now, if you remember, like our last lecture, we were talking about location data, how to get them, how to connect your application to the internet, what is async, what is await, future exceptions. Jason, we start explaining about it. So, okay, we explained all these, like I explained all these codes in the lecture note. The coffee example, the coffee shop example about whenever you get, for example, for the future, I was explaining whenever you get a receipt. This one will be same as whenever you work on the future. Later, it will be converted to the actual data type. Then after that, we started talking about the stateless widget life cycle. We said that it has only a build function, which is only, for example, one life cycle. Whenever we talk about stateful, no, it has a lot of maybe other cycles. It will start with the init state, screen, the stateful widget screen, for example. Then there's a build, okay, function we can call it. Then we have a deactivate. So as you can see here, we have maybe 3 life cycle methods compared to the stateless, which has only one. So this is all covered. I explained this, I remember, in the class. Then we start talking about what is exception, what time you get them, what is async, and then we talk about the API. Let me check the API. Where we stop last time? I think we start with the API, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, we stopped with the API. Yes. So let's go and start with the API. Because the exception already we cover them يعني in the lecture, and we cover them also in the mobile application, and also OOP for programming too. The exception, whenever you have error, you have to use a try and catch. The catch will get the error and show it, for example, for the developer, or you can throw it to the user, show it to them. All right. So this is about the exceptions. If we talk about the async await, already I explained this one. This code I remember in the class. How to apply async and how to apply await in your functions. For the function, always you have to use the async. If this function requires some kind of time, whenever you run it, for example, getting location, getting data from internet, whatever, you will make your function as async. After the function name, you write async. And the function that will go and get the data and whatever, يعني, inside the main function, we are going to use the await keyword for that one. So that will wait until the data, for example, or location, يعني you get the location. After we got the location, we will, for example, get the latitude and the longitude from where? From this variable position.
Sorry. Sarwat said that could you take her now?
Yes.
She updated our Zoom.
I accepted him now. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sahar. Okay. So this is regarding. Oh, okay. After we get here position, because we write await keyword, that's why here we are forcing that to wait until you get a position from the GPS, for example, accepted the user location, whatever. Then it will move to the other lines. For example, next line, getting a latitude out of the position, getting a longitude out of the position. Inside this position variable, which is created by using the position, for example, class, it has a lot of properties inside. تمام? One of them latitude, as you know, in GPS, and the other one called longitude. So await will force that to wait. If you don't write await, if you delete await now here, whenever you write this code, you will get this one null and the other one null, because that will try to get latitude and longitude, even though still maybe, for example, that didn't get the position yet. So this is the idea of await. If something happens, we we write our code inside the try. If something happens wrongly, any kind of mistakes, the user rejected permission, there is no GPS not activated, location on the mobile, whatever error, cache will get this error and we will print this error. Or you can just show this one to the user. We can make this E, for example, send it to any text on the UI, and the user can see this E, what's happening, if you like. Okay. Whenever we talk about APIs, so always in computer science, in coding, you will keep hearing about API. Everyone may be talking about API, programmers, developers, even maybe other designers will talk about it if they want to get data for, okay? So all kind of computer science fields, they are talking about always API. What is this API usually? This is like somehow, let's say, maybe you can say inclusive, not inclusive, comprehensive maybe definition. An API is a set, application programming interface, set of commands, functions, protocols, and objects that the programmers can use to create software, or sometimes not creating software. Sometimes you'll use it to interact with external systems. It provides developers with standard commands for performing common operation. So they don't have to write the code from scratch. يعني in this example, in this we are talking about in this chapter about creating weather application. So if you want to write the code by yourself and to get the weather from somewhere, it will be really exhausting, like let's say task. So the smarter way to use API of any other services, maybe Google, they have other companies, they have API to give you the weather data. So you will use their API in your code, and this API will give you a few functions to go and get the data for the weather within calling just simple functions. Okay, so this is the idea of the API. And here, if we look at, for example, the prices on Google Maps for hotels, how Google they are, already I remember I explained this one in the class, how Google is getting these data for the prices of the hotels, for example. Definitely it's using, for example, the booking.com, other APIs. So Google is accessing these websites and getting the prices from there. So otherwise, Google has no any idea about what are the prices of any hotel in Erbil or any other city in this world, tamam? So APIs is the only way for Google even, applications to go and get maybe data from other applications. Maybe inside your application, you want to use PayPal, or you want to use FIB, or you want to use Zencash or Asia Hawala or whatever to pay. So how we can do it? Again, we have to go in our application, go and get the API for this FIB, other companies, and the other banking. After they give you their API, this API has a lot of functions. You can call them in your code. For example, for verifying their MasterCard or the credit card, verifying the balance, confirming the successful transaction or failed transaction. They show this one to the user. So the only solution that you have most of the time is using API. Okay, and this is the easier way. So here, Google Maps will send a request. For example, as you study in web, for what? For booking.com. Booking.com will get this request and send response to Google.Maps. Maybe it's asking for the prices of hotels in Erbil. Then these prices are going to be shown on the hotels. Okay. All right. So this is like about the API. And here it says most of the time these APIs, you are going to use something called a key. Already I explained this one, I remember. Then in the class, I said these keys just to protect these APIs. For example, booking.com doesn't want anyone to make request, any application to give answer. Maybe they have their API, for example, could be booking.com or others. They are charging maybe developers. Whenever you make request, maybe they will get also some money out of if anyone make any reservation through your application. So at that time, they will use a key. This key will allow them to track what you are doing with their API, with their services. Same time, it will allow them also to charge you how much you are not only tracking, knowing the activities that you are doing or your users, only also to charge for this one. And again, also to protect the resources. Not any attackers, hackers can make for example, thousands of fake requests and damaging their resources or consuming all the resources, the server, CPU, RAM, and whatever. تمام? That's why there's most of the time the APIs they will give you a key to check. And if maybe sometime the API will give you 404 or something other codes like page not found or data server is not working or whatever error, you can just check this code with internet and show to the user what is wrong. Why, for example, there's a mistake. So open weather, okay. Open weather map, this is the website that we are going to get the data. If you click now on this one, what will happen? Okay. So usually the API key, if you write it, for example, with the key correctly, here, as you can see, in your browser, you will get this data. Okay, you will get this data on your browser. This data that you will get most of the time, or most of the APIs worldwide, يعني for example, يعني even maybe FIB or others, even if you use any kind of applications يعني inside the country or outside, their APIs usually will give you a response in JSON format. This text that you can see, it's called JSON format. This JSON format usually, it will be in this code, for example, whenever we get it, we have to also store this data, then later get out extracting, for example, data that we need, because it has a lot of data here inside. Maybe it's giving you back weather, location data, humidity, sunrise, too many things. And it's all of them. If we can just now maximize the size, let me show you. It's all, as you can see, key legal value. So whenever you want to get any value, you have to call the key inside your dot code. For example, it will give you, if you call, for example, maybe country, it will give you GB. If you call, for example, here main, it will give you this one. If you call ID, it will give you 300. Whenever you access, so it's very similar to the DALT map that we are studying, but this is what we call JSON. Because always you have this is like opening a brace, closing a brace بالأخير, then always key and value we have. Okay, so this is like a JSON code. Whenever you make request to any API, these days, most of the time you are going to get what? JSON data. And from the open weather data, they have always API documentation or any other website, of course. You go to the API documentation, it will give you the data that you need, maybe the functions, the key, or any other things that you require to work. In this code here, we can see the body. Okay, we create a function to get the data, void get data, async, begin. Response, we create a variable called response equals await get. The get function, it will ask you, give me the query. Query يعني the link of the API, then mix it with the API key that you will get when you subscribe to them, okay? So after I give this, for example, a link with the query, if we get, if the key is correct, not wrong key, you copy and paste the whole key correctly, and the query, this one, يعني a link is correct, at that time you will get this one, you will get this data inside your application. When you print a response, you'll get this data. Otherwise, you'll get, for example, if something wrong, there is no internet, you'll get maybe, for example, an error, 400 something, 300 something, okay? حسب الerror that you will get. Whenever here we print a response, we will say this is instance of response, object of response. Why this is happening? Because we are a response itself. If you go and check it, for example, on the documentation, it's coming from an HTTP package we should download later, okay, in our application. So this response, for example, object that it's created by a response class, it has inside it something, a variable called body. This body will give you this one. The body will give you the JSON text, okay? The body. So if you print a response only, the object, same as we study in OOP before, or programming, for example, data programming. Whenever you print any object in OOP, you will get, that will tell you this is instance of car, instance of that one, object of that thing. Why? Because you are not, so at that time, if you want to print, for example, user, you don't print the user, no. I print the user dot name. I want to print the name of that inside that user, because the user itself as an object, it has inside a lot of attributes. Could be, for example, name, email, age, phone number, whatever. So whenever you want to get any piece of data, you have to access to the variable inside that object. Okay, you cannot print, for example, a user, or print, for example, whatever other things, for example, not could, for example, even a response or weather. So always, if you have an object in OOP, this object usually have inside some data. These data represented by like variables. Could be, for example, here, maybe for a location, we have a latitude and longitude. For response, we have maybe body and a lot of other things. Okay. So whenever you print a response.body, as you can see here on the slides, you'll get the whole data. Okay. Even a response has also something called what? A status code. For example, here, if you get DOSAT or 200, it means what? It means the connection and getting the data successful. If you get 400, 300, other things, no, there's something wrong. Okay. So these codes that we are getting, the status code of the response, usually we can also add it in our code. We can say always, programmers sometimes or developer, they are writing this one. If a response is 200, for example, get the data. Otherwise, maybe only print the status code to the user or to the developer. They cannot. Whenever I Google this one on the Wikipedia, it will tell you, for example, HTTP status code. These are the codes that we have in web usually. Okay, web applications, or whenever you make an HTTP request, and in general mobile or web, you will get, if you get 100 something, it means, for example, this informational. 200 something, it's about success. 300 redirection. 400 something, one of them like 404 page not found. All of you know it. Okay, 500 something, there's something wrong with the server. And each number here is explained. You can go to the Wikipedia or GPT and check the number that you are getting. So you can make a message for the user. Okay. All right. So this is like when I talk about JSON, I said there is always key value, and if you get as XML, also you have key and value, but it is in different way, like tags, like HTML. But I guess now most developers applications are working with JSON. Even though many of the APIs, they give you two options. They said, what do you like as developer? I can provide you both functions and codes. If you need to work with JSON, you can click on JSON and get their functions and how to deal with it. And if you click on XML, also you have this option. But as I can see, most of the applications they are focusing even only on JSON. Okay. So this is about like JSON. What is JSON? It's similar to the map, as I said. And this is whatever I mentioned. It's like mentioned here again, just repeating JSON parsing, dynamic types. So these data, whenever you get them, it means you have to do reading these data. In computer science, in programming, whenever your application read data, we call this one parsing. Okay, you are parsing some maybe text or input or output or whatever. Okay, so it says usually it's difficult to read this maybe data that we will get from the server or from the API. So it's better to use maybe download on your Chrome or Safari or whatever. Always they have something called as extension JSON viewer. This JSON viewer, after you install on your Chrome or whatever browser, whenever you get like this data, it will make them look in this beautiful way. Key and value. So as a human, it will be easy for you to read this one, because this text is usually not designed for a human, designed for a machine to make it a small size as possible for transferring and receiving, if you want to improve it. So this is an example about JSON parsing, okay, which is like Java script object notation. And what is it? It is what is the meaning of parsing, as I explained, how to add this package, for example, HTTP from beginning, how to write to use this one. Already I explained all of this before a while and in the last lecture, these codes. All right. So even it says here, if you want to create maybe data model to store your data, maybe you can create a weather inside this weather, how many variables you have, you will decide. If you want to store only maybe temperature and description, you can make 2 variables. If you need to create, for example, also city, other things, also you can make more variables. So later, whenever you get data from API, you can put them inside this weather. Inside this weather object, I will put, for example, temperature, and I will get this temperature from JSON code, and description also I will get it from the JSON code. So, and here we are creating something called factory. This factory we study already in OOP. You can review, and also you can Google it. So it will create for you an object, a weather object, data from JSON. This JSON will receive the data that you will get from the internet as a map of string and dynamic. Okay, and this is like variable name. We call it JSON, whatever you want to call it, you can call it. So this variable here from JSON function will receive the data as a variable, for example, called JSON, map of string and dynamic. The time is almost done. Okay, still we have 10 minutes to finish. Okay, I have to go maybe to the homework. So anyhow, this JSON will okay, get the data. Why it's dynamic? Just I want to say, because sometimes always it's all of them the strings. If you go and just watch here the data that you are getting, always the left side will be string. Right side sometimes be, for example, integer, sometimes double, sometimes something else. We don't know. That's why we make it what? Dynamic. Because each time, always the key will be string, we are sure in the JSON data, but for the value, we don't know. That's why we make it dynamic. So we can accept both to not get error, okay? Then, okay, I will pass this one since I explained this, that modeling, and here you can also read about the constructor, the class definition, factory, just review your knowledge about this. This is how you can access the data. For example, after I get access the JSON decode, there's a function called JSON decode. It will get the data that you get from the internet. Inside this data, I have to go where? For example, here, I have to go to the coordinate. Then I have to go and access to the longitude to get how much? 139. So this is how to access the data. In the beginning, you access data by using JSON decode, for example, the data that you'll get, for example, from the, this is response.body. Then after that, you access this one. Yeah, you should access to this node, for example, coordinate. Then you have to access to the longitude, and after that, whenever you print the longitude, you'll get 139. So this is how usually how we access. You access the data in what in JSON. Okay, this one later you can read it. I don't think there's something like new here. About it's all repeating. Like you have to use the key. You have to improve your query, whatever. Here it says we have also to make showing spinner while user wait for spinner. Also, we have very simple package. We just add it to our code. It's automatically here, as you can see it, line 46. It will add for you this one, the spinner, okay? Whenever there's user open their application, it will show a spinner for a while, then it will disappear whenever we get the data from the internet. Automatically, this one done without even intervention from your side. Okay. Passing data to state objects. So after we get here all the data here, we store them inside a variable. So this is the idea here. Then we have a function called update UI. It will go and take the data and update these data. A location weather. As you can see, this is the location weather inside the widget. Okay, so we'll send this location weather, we'll get the data, and later we will send it to the widget itself to update the UI. But here the code is maybe not completely shown, so we can describe the whole process. We will come to this one in the practical, don't worry about this. This one and the functions that we need for the UI and for the weather. All of these, I'm going to leave them for the practical. Even I will not put them in the midterm exam, these codes, okay? Just and understand the theory, these concepts that we have. So let's go to the homework now. Okay, because still we have around 6 minutes. So you will go to the, I already posted the video for a while explaining every single step when I tried, like just I made a testing, as I said, to solve it by myself. And that's why I said 30 minutes. I don't want you to make something very, like it's just you are building a prototype. Yeah, a simple application. with maybe nice design using AI, and you will ask AI to do everything. Most of the time, يعني, it's better to ask AI to do everything for you. Just you copy and paste and test. So this is the application that I built. I guess I spent around maybe 20 minutes, 25 minutes, I'm not sure. In the video, you can see all the prompts that I use with GPT. So even I put the slogan, also you can put the slogan for your company. Even it's better to put, for example, maybe your application by the company then that you have. Maybe because I was just like rushing, I would write anything, even it's so here. No, for this one, no need to make it like all of you are going to make login screen, but don't make it يعني, any password and username is okay for now, because later we will study this one, how we can make something like yes, let's say complex or functioning correctly. Login. So I asked ChatGPT to create for me a clothing store e-commerce application, because, for example, I have a clothing or clothes shop. I want to sell clothes, and I told it I have three sections: men, women, and kids. So whenever and I asked it also for the basket, okay? So they can, for example, maybe make the payment later and see what they chose. After user click on, let's say, for example, men, they like this t-shirt, let's say, or this shoes. They click add to cart, it's added. Okay, here it says it's added. Then maybe they will go and buy also something else for the kids. It says also jeans added to the cart.
Sir,
Yes. Then this
uh,
is
uh, do we have to show how our faces in the video?
yes. Because I don't want, for example,
Okay.
someone this looking at other screens, talking with other people. It's not allowed. I mentioned already.
Ah,
It's only
okay.
allowed, yes. That's why I said make one test with yourself, same as I did now with myself. I just tested myself to see how much time I need for this one. I guess it was around like 20 something minutes, because quickly I tried as possible to finish the application. But even as I said, maybe I think I didn't, maybe I write maybe one line or two lines of my code by myself, but it was not necessarily. Yani AI was doing all the code for me. So even this one line, two lines, it's written by AI, but I was just lazy. Instead of copy and paste, I did it by myself, okay? So all this like
Okay.
100% written by GPT, and GPT solved all the problem that I explained already, like in the beginning, but not from first time. Okay, so let's go to the requirement to make, because time will finish after 3 minutes. You have until Saturday, try to finish and submit. After that, you will lose this 10 marks. Okay, if you cannot submit, forget that one. You can focus later on homework 2 and the project. So this is the homework one: AI assisted mobile application prototype development. 10 marks, video recording, 30 minutes exactly. You can make it a bit less, but not more, okay? Try to make it exactly 30 minutes. Even if you get 1-2 minutes extra, you can explain and share your experience about this one. What you did, how much time you tried before this one. It's totally fine to explain whatever you like. Okay, you want to share with me. All these videos later, after I finish, I will delete them, okay? Because it has already your faces, so I will delete it. It will be like personal. I'll not keep anything with my side. For you, it's up to you. You can share it on your YouTube, whatever. You are free, or your cloud storage, and share it with me. But don't send me the video onto my Google Classroom, because it will not be enough. Many of the videos, will be 500 maybe megabyte or more. So the storage will be full, and it will be a problem even for other students. They cannot submit. So put it on your cloud, any cloud service that you have. You are totally free to use ChatGPT, Gemini, DeepSeek, Cloudy, or any other AI for this homework. It's up to you. Okay, but you are building, just keep in your mind, you are not building something complex. You are building a simple mobile application prototype. And I think you know what's prototype since you study HCI. Okay, so this is like, maybe you can call it high fidelity prototype. I know it's like clickable working also, but still it's prototype, because we cannot give this application to the business. Still, for example, it doesn't have an e-payment. Still, it doesn't have, for example, sign up. Still, it needs maybe a bit of animations. Okay, steps to follow: starting a live session. Okay, after you finish first time, record by without recording, doing everything, finishing. It was fine. Maybe first time even you will spend maybe, for example, 1 hour. But next time, no, your hand will get on that one. You will be much faster. You can finish within 30 minutes or less. Okay. So, um, live AI session, it means you are going to open the camera and sharing the screen, same as I'm doing now with you. Then this prompt very important. Don't mess with AI. This one you have to copy and paste to start with the AI. This one from here, I make this one with, I spend some time with AI just to prepare for you this one, this prompt. And the only thing that you are going to change in this prompt here, this application idea, write the application that you want. Give your idea. So I here, for example, in the video, I explained what I told AI. I said I want to create an e-commerce application to sell males, females, kids, clothes. That's it. I make my idea very simple for the AI to understand. So AI will follow all these rules in the conversation and work with you until you finish. Okay? Until you finish. So this for you, this is not for AI. 2, 3, 4, 5, it's all for you. Okay? The time almost now finished. I think it will be this.